This is the sluggo, slant and go.
Two out of three ain't bad. Ain't that what they say, Locks?
Hey, at least it's the best two, right?
Best looking two.
Hey, I can still hear you.
Oh!
Sorry about that. Casey the Beef Cregan he is the chairman of the Chamber of Commerce of Defusky Island, but apparently he hasn't paid his internet bill. As he's only got sound. There is no picture there. And this has been a dream of Locks ever since Clemson that he didn't have to look at Casey's face. And here we are. And Locks has been voted. Oh, man. I haven't told
I work
him.
in technology.
That's a good point.
I haven't told anybody yet this, Casey. I know it's been a secret between the three of us, but Locks was voted Mr. Blue Can of Pooler, Georgia recently.
Right. Crowning achievement.
Crowning achievement, except on Sunday mornings, he feels a little bad about it. But the other days of the week, it is a great achievement. So I had this brilliant intro. You know, I do this little comedy routine every week, and I thought, what can I do this week? And I didn't have anything. I had a busy day today. I know that shocks everybody, including my wife. But I said, what can be funny today? And then 10 minutes before the show, Locks is asking me about the show rundown. It's show 70. He's never asked me about the show rundown. On the one day, I'm too busy to update it and have it perfectly in line. The other 69, he didn't care. It's just today that he cares.
I've always looked, though, just so you know.
Okay.
Pull back the curtain a little bit. If we're being honest, Marty does all of the outline. Very rarely do I even edit anything. So,
well, as you found out today, all I do is cut and paste, and sometimes I forget.
I started to wonder.
And sometimes I forget to edit. Today was one of those days. But Casey, I'm real happy because we're feeding the vets again this year, and I talked to Jimmy today, and I already promised him a check, so we got to do something, right? You've contributed $25 from your losings, as I told Rob. And I'm going to match that. And I had some money from previously from my old shtick about the interesting that I don't do anymore. But anyway, these guys get together every Christmas for a dinner, and we helped them out last year with an amazing $200 between all the donations. Nelson helped out. JJ from the Chop and Beef fame helped out. But I thought a little bit something more this year, right? Give the people something that's very, very rarely seen in the wild. And that would be, if I can get back to our thing here, one of these.
Whoa.
Actually, 4 of these. 3 people in the entire world. Well, excuse me, 4 people in the entire world have these. The 3 beautiful faces you see, I can't even do it right, Casey. How do I do it?
And the coaster's upside down.
What kind of production are we got going on?
This is turning into Chop and Beef here.
The 3 beautiful faces here each have a set of 4, and Aunt Alyssa, who really should feel special, she has a set of 4 also. So if you donate to the vets, for every $1 you donate, I'll put your name, I'll put you an entry in to get a set of 4 of those shipped to you free by Pony Express, because believe it or not, those things are kind of expensive they're more expensive to mail than they are to buy.
Make.
Yes, there's no doubt about that. Yeah.
Nice set of coasters, no question about it. We use them.
You can Venmo me there at Martin-Coleman-7 or PayPal. Either way, just tell me, put coasters or vets or something in there. Let me know. 100% will go to the vets for their Christmas dinner. I talked to Jimmy today. As I said, he's so excited about getting to a turkey or whatever they eat for Christmas dinner over there at the BFW. Last year was kind of weird. I had to leave the money under my doormat because, they're older fellows and they weren't comfortable, being in person or whatever, but he got it and he thanked us. And we're going to do it again. JJ said he's all in, and I'll reach out to him and see if he's still all in this week. So appreciate JJ from the Chop and Beef. It's been a lot of fun talking to him. And look who's the first to comment today. From the injured reserve list. It's that's how you make an entrance. JP Priester. Now JP, JP, you're part of the show tonight. I don't know if you knew that, but the name of this show is Long Strange Trip, and you getting run over on the sidelines is one of the weird things about 2021.
Of all the things, and JP's a celebrity in my world anyway, and the thing that no one really talked about, but that was Jamie Robinson, that the South Carolina transfer to Florida State that knocked over JP. So, if that just adds more fuel to the rivalry, Clemson, South Carolina, I don't know what does.
Yep. No, I didn't know who it was. I just heard JP say it was a big, what do you say, a monster coming toward him or something like that.
It came fast.
Quick, yeah.
Nelson, I wonder if monkey business is on the agenda. Another weird thing about 2021. Yeah, we've had enough monkey business without that monkey business. And John Shancy says Rutgers wasn't in the top 25. Definitely a conspiracy theory.
I agree.
Thanks for all three of you for getting the show off to a rollicking start. We talked about that. Okay. What a weird year, fellas. Clemson and Florida State. Every game except for the South Carolina State game has had some kind of weird, vibe to it. It's been up and down. You think you're going to win. You think you're going to lose. You know you're going to win. You know you're going to lose. Sometimes all wrapped up into like one play or one series. I mean, we've had, everybody says 2020 is weird. We've had pick sixes on shovel passes. We've had safeties and then fumbles on the 2-yard line, recovered in the end zone. We've had BT Potter missed one field goal all year, missed like 106 last weekend. We had a tackle in the open field, and he happened to landed on the guy who tackled him and ended up being a 75-yard touchdown. We've had penalties out the wazoo. How many injuries? 40-something for Clemson, 14 season injuries. We've had more COVID this year, it seems like. Problems at Clemson. Of course, Trevor was a big one last year. But it seems like we have more COVID problems this year than last year. We've had a lot of fumbles, haven't lost many of them. We lost one last week. And a lot of bad play. It has been a weird, strange, almost every game, as I said, besides the Florida State game. And the weirdest thing out of all this, maybe? Clemson. Everybody's ripping Clemson to shreds. But guess who's played Georgia closer than any other team on their schedule? Guess whose 3 losses all come to teams ranked in the top 25? There's no, quote, bad losses. There's a lot of bad-looking losses when you watch the game. But, there's no loss to, Syracuse or whatever. What a strange year. After all that talk, Beef, please take it away and give your thoughts on the weirdness of 2021. And it's not just Clemson in there. I focused on Clemson, but there's a lot of other weirdness going on too.
I keep saying it, and I sound like a broken record. And I'll give you a little quick scenario. This weekend, my oldest stepson was in town, and he's kind of acquired Clemson as his favorite team. So we're watching the game, and he's like, "How you doing with the season?" I said, "Actually, I'm actually enjoying it." It was right around the time DJ's fumble into the end zone, and so I'm literally looking at him. I'm like, "I'm actually enjoying it. These games are actually fun. This game today's fun." BT missed 100 field goals. Throw it. He goes, "Yeah, you're really watching these games calm now, aren't you?" So that's how I feel about this year. Like in my mind, I keep trying to fool myself into thinking that I'm enjoying these games, but there's still a lot of me that it gets a little frustrated at times. But it is what it is. It's kind of one of those finish out the string cut type of seasons for Clemson. To throw fuel on the fire, our boy JP gets run over. I mean, what else could happen in 2021 for the Clemson Tigers? But they won the game. They got the W. And, win in advance, I guess, this year. That's all you can really do if you're a Clemson fan.
Actually, it's win and don't advance this year. JP chimes in, you don't realize exactly how weird it is until you put it all together. And I had a hard time putting it all together because I started writing and then, okay, oh yeah. And then I go, oh yeah, close the document, open it back up. I forgot about this. Close the document. I forgot about this. It has just been weird. Locks, your take.
Well, look who finally covered a spread. Your Tigers in the simplest of fashions.
Not if you had 10.5.
Yeah, and well, that was going to be the best part. We thought we finally got it.
So excited.
And then you got it at 10.5. But what a bizarre ending, too. And to have typically, if that's during play, that's not called a touchdown because he got shoved into the end zone, right? Isn't that like a penalty, I think? Or I don't even know.
Only if it's your own teammate. He got shoved by a Florida State guy.
But still, the amount of money that changed hands from that being a 9.5-point closing line to be a 10-point victory was incredible in the closing seconds of just, goofing around, flinging it back and forth, and it was just rolling toward the end zone. They just happened to grab it. It was incredible. But, yeah, first time they've covered a spread all season.
Yeah,
it's pretty late in the season.
Yes. And the reason I thought I had 9.5 is I did it online. After we chose it, I did. I'm playing on tally site. I put my picks in a tally site, and sometimes they have a different line, and they happen to have 9.5 when I put it in. And that's why that's why I threw my phone when, and you guys were happy for about 10 minutes till I figured out that, I actually had plus 10 of that.
I thought it would have been great show fodder if you were one of the guys with the bad beat,
right.
Casey, I think that's the only time you've screamed at me in the 70 episodes is when I said, I made a mistake. I actually had 10.5.
I think I went on a bike ride with my boy, and I came back to that text, and I was like, you got it. No, he changed it. I'm scrolling back through the text going, he changed it.
Yeah.
He didn't change it.
It was the best part of the weekend besides the Clemson win. But like you said, the way it ended is just nuts. He got another fumble or turnover for a touchdown. Fellas, we can't do that this week, right? And
Dabo said it. Dabo said it today. He's like, we got to stop scoring for the other team.
That's why he's head coach, Casey. And I went through. I'm taking out the highlights. I'm looking at so I looked through the whole game, right? The what do you call it? The condensed game. I watched the whole game in review and pick out some highlights to post. And DJ looks so good on some plays, man. He was perfect. The touchdown pass to Allen and got over the middle, and then he can't hit the broadside of a barn. He stands there like a statue, and I think that's the difference, right? If you saw Trevor or Deshaun back there, now when it's a designed run, he does okay sometimes there. When he has the blocking. But if he's back in that pocket, he's not scrambling for anything. He is a statue. His feet don't move, right? Deshaun and Trevor would move to the right or left and then throw the ball. DJ stands there and gets crushed.
I think he does have a footwork issue, and I finally realized it 8 weeks into the season. But when he gets his feet kind of a little more than shoulder width apart, that's when he seems to do this little hitch, like he's not confident enough. But then, like you said, Marty, at times he looks like he's the most confident quarterback in the country. That ball to Davis Allen was awesome. Literally, an overused cliche about only where your receiver can catch it. That's exactly where he threw it. And I hate the fade pattern. I can't stand it because it rarely works. It worked in there. And again, the interception he threw, he was literally just staring at Ross from the start of the play. It's just, I don't know if there's just too much. He just needs to go out and play. And like they probably let him do against Notre Dame last year. I know it's overused as well, but just go out and play. I think he's scared to make a mistake, and that only leads, like the prevent defense. It only prevents you from winning, and he's prone now to mistakes because I think he's so afraid to make a mistake.
Yeah. John Chancey says we apparently have a secret player taking reps at running back as an emergency contingency plan. Great.
Johnny Greenbeans.
That sounds
Jimmy Greenbeans.
Hunter Renfro.
Hunter Renfro.
boy, we need a Renfro or 17 to show up. Zach, what's your thoughts on DJ before we move on?
Well, just to reiterate what Case was just saying, the staring of the receivers is just really a big thing that's been prevalent ever since game one this year. At least if you're going to stare at the receiver on the right side of the field, check to another receiver on that side of the field. I'm not asking you to look across the whole thing. I know that's really hard if you're not confident in doing it, but at least check two receivers on that side. So look one off, but it's obvious from, however high up that camera is, you can tell he's just got an eyeball on the receiver he's going to the whole way. Has to really make it a lot easier for the defensive backs too. So it's just disappointing you haven't seen him evolve a little more. And like he has evolved, I think, from the beginning of the year, but we're still not there. So I don't know what's going to happen moving forward into next year if he's still going to be the guy, but he's got a lot of work to do for sure between the footwork and the lookoffs.
It will be interesting to see what happens come next spring if the next 4 games or 5, if they go to a bowl game, are like this. But just standing there, like I said, like a statue, there's no effort to get out of the pocket when he's under pressure, which he is, 98% of his dropbacks, or
sure.
seems like it anyway. So it'll be interesting to see what happens next year. Who knows? Klubnik is a good quarterback, but he's like 186 pounds, and he's a good high school quarterback. He's not Trevor Lawrence. He's not Deshaun Watson, but he's coming from a pedigree of Drew Brees, Nick Foles, and Sam Ellinger. So who the heck knows? I guess we'll find out next year when he shows up. Hopefully he gains about 14 pounds or so.
I don't think the idea was for him to come in and play immediately, especially with what we thought that Clemson had with DJ in front of him. Right. So there was time to kind of put some bulk on him, let him grow into his body a little bit, maybe end up 215 and be a little bit more durable. 186 is going to get you killed.
Yeah, he plays in the highest level of Texas high school football, but let's be honest, that team just crushes everybody. Yeah. He's got like 8 seconds to throw every pass. I think they beat somebody last week 77-3, kick a field goal down 77. And he didn't even play, by the way. The backup quarterback played. He scored 77 points. So a couple of weeks ago, they played Parker's school, and it was, I think, 49-0 at halftime, and it ended up being like 69-12 or something. Anyway, we'll see how that works out next year. And speaking of next year, I'm doing a Casey here. Speaking of next year, Gary Patterson will not be coaching TCU next year, or this week or next week, as for that matter. Georgia cruised again. That's what made me think about Clemson actually played Georgia closer than anybody, and that includes all those wonderful, great top 5 SEC teams, all 14 of them. Michigan State beat Michigan. Ohio State beat Penn State, but not by enough for Zach. Iowa State, who called it? 3 losses, and it was even before November. They had 3 losses, and they still got some games to play. They may end up with 4, 5, 6 losses. And to cap my perfect week off last week, BYU and Virginia scored 115 points. The week after Wake and Army scored 126. This BYU Virginia game, I saw where the live betting. I was listening to the Cover 3 podcast, and they do a late night version on Saturday, and they were talking about this game as their show was going on. Like, oh, the total's now 98.5, and then 5 minutes later, it's now the live totals up to 101. Wow. Ended up with 115 points. I don't know if it was the altitude, as I talked about last week, but BYU outscored Virginia 21-0 in the fourth quarter to pull it out for me. Zach, what's your take on all those topics, or anything else you want to talk about that happened last week?
I just say that the TCU Gary Patterson thing really kind of caught me off guard. From what I read about it too, they tried to get him to stay on for the rest of the year, kind of like a Coach O thing, where they just said, let's just finish the year out, not that many games. And he said, nope, done, later. And he was gone. So something fishy going on down there. Maybe he just had it. I mean, the guy's been there for quite a while, right? I mean, how many years?
I think 20 years, but that includes a few as an assistant. So like 17 maybe as a head man.
Even if you're looking to go somewhere else, wouldn't you want to finish the season out? I mean, just by the way this is going, it doesn't feel to me like he's ready to just up and throw his hat in the ring for the USC job or something like that, or LSU or whatever. it just seemed a little strange to me that he just was like, forget it, I'm done. So hopefully there's nothing bad going on there. Maybe he was just fed up and tired. I mean, I hadn't paid attention to TCU this year, but if you start looking at the numbers, they're not good. So maybe he was just fed up and tired of it. So
and they haven't been good for a few years.
Right. Yeah.
Right.
And this year it sounds like the defense is really, which is kind of his hallmark for being in the Big 12. It's just not with it. So, he's done. And it just really kind of just surprised me just out of nowhere.
Well, and this was a debate, and I think Nelson says we've got 4 scholarship running backs, including Rencher. There's left depth at quarterback. But Nelson and I don't remember, somebody in the Facebook group said he'll be a hot commodity, and Nelson disagreed with that. I don't know. 5 or 6 years of bad teams, I don't know how hot of a commodity he's going to be. Maybe as a defensive coordinator. I don't know. It'll be interesting to see. Beef, your thoughts on last week's goings on in college football?
Yeah, actually, what was it, 13 years ago, I was on the Gary Patterson to Clemson train like you wouldn't believe. I wanted that guy to come to Clemson to be the head coach. They came into Clemson and beat them, and I was at that game. I just thought they were so well coached, so much smarter than our Clemson teams back in the early aughts. It was fun. So I don't know if there's anything necessarily going wrong down there. I mean, obviously it's going wrong, but I don't know if there's anything going on. I just think they probably came to him with the option, and he was like, you know what? I know I'm probably going to be gone at the end of the year anyway. I'll just do it now. Let you guys kind of have a little bit of momentum going into the next year. But he'll get a job somewhere. I don't know if, like you said, Marty, I don't know if he'll be a head man again initially, or even if he wants to. And I think he's closing in on the 60s, so maybe he just wants to go live his life a little bit. You never know. But he did a nice job down there for a long time. A couple rough years, like you said, but he was in the mix there in that crazy 07 year to get into the BCS. So as far as Georgia, Florida, water is wet, right? I think everyone called that. Michigan State was highly, highly entertaining. I thought, those Big Ten pillow fights. This one was 37-33. It was actually really, really fun to watch. I actually had it on one of my screens. Ohio State, Penn State, that was late at night. I was watching with an Ohio State guy. Yeah, I could have fallen asleep about 3 times if he wasn't serving me tequila. And that BYU game, I started watching that late night and fell asleep, but I wish I didn't because I heard it was high flying. Good week of college football. It was a lot of fun. The games were fun for the most part. I'm looking forward to this weekend.
Michael Palkovich checks in and says North Carolina still overrated. They'll be lucky to finish over 500. They play Wake Forest this Saturday. That's one of our picks, and it's a non-conference game, by the way. So North Carolina and Wake Forest play a non-conference game. John Chansey says Gary Patterson can work on his country music career. That's kind of scary. And Nelson chimes in and says Gary Patterson hasn't coped well with NIL. Defensive slip, he'll get another job, but not a hot commodity. Also, some bad publicity. Okay. SMU.
Yeah.
What is SMU complaining about?
There was something not playing them, something to that nature. I don't know. They're just 2 teams, 2 schools in Dallas, not far from each other. And Nelson will probably give us the details, but I had heard some little bit of rumblings. I hadn't read too much up on the TCU SMU problems, but I heard that there was some.
And those are two uppity schools, SMU and TCU.
Cash money over.
No doubt. Yeah. All right, fellas, it's time for our favorite part of the show. Think you could have done any worse if you tried?
Well, I take that as a victory.
These guys aren't doing research, so why should I? Beef, you stink the most.
A true believer in what they're doing in North Carolina. That's why I'm picking Virginia Tech, Tennessee.
I love Spencer Rattler.
I agree with Marty. I don't like this. Look, you smell it, the backdoor cover.
Well, we smelled it last week. We were 4-5.
And the backdoor cover.
Yes, almost a backdoor cover. Well, and Locke just alluded to it, Casey. I know you guys have been friends for a long time. He had a rough week. We're all going to have him. We've had him, and I'm going to have one maybe this week. I always feel that way about my picks. But I know you and Locke's have been friends for a long time. You've been through a lot. I mean, the the
I
Taco
feel the
Bell,
setup coming.
the Taco Bell pants issues you guys have shared over the years. the times you've walked too loud, all the memories. But I always feel Locke's text on Sunday made me feel really bad. So I picked up the phone and I called Locks, and I was like, Locks, how are you doing? And he, real sad, real down. And I said, how are you going to move forward, Locks? And I thought, Casey, you weren't on that call. You were busy with Slider. So I recorded Locks, his answer, and here's what Locke said after I asked him how he planned to move forward.
I don't know, man. I might get fade into Bolivian, you know what I mean? I don't have nowhere to go and nothing to do, you know what I mean? I just go fly my pigeons on the roof in New York.
That's tremendous.
He's going to fly into Bolivian, and he doesn't have anywhere to go or nothing to do. He's just going to go on the roof in New York and fly his pigeons. So
that was me.
It was a tough week for Locks. I got lucky a couple of times. I got lucky with the Clemson game, getting it at the right number. I got lucky that BYU's 26-year-old guys woke up at 10:30 at night and scored 21 points in the fourth quarter. That's kind of how it goes when you're betting and putting your picks out there in the public space. So let's look at the standings here. There it is. And this does not we got an update to these standings before Thursday even comes. This is as of Sunday afternoon. Locks had 94.91, Sluggo Bucks 50. Casey had 11,862.05. I had 12,485.48. Locks was 15-12. Notice I say was. Casey's 14-12-1, and I was 19-8. Again, a lot of luck involved in my numbers there. Locks couldn't come up with the third game, so I so graciously said, "Hey, why don't you bet on one of these Tuesday night games?"
Okay.
All right. Sounds like a good thing to do. And he took Miami of Ohio -7, and we know how that turned out. They did not win by 7, and they did not win at all. So Locks bet 400 on that is now officially at 9,091.50. And is 15-13. But that's old news, fellas. We're going to work on the new news of this week's bets. I'm in the lead, so I'm going to go first again. I am going to jump right on Gary Patterson and that TCU team and go the other way. I'm going to take Baylor -5. It's -108 on the juice. I took this actually before the coaching change was announced because I watched Baylor play Texas last week. It wasn't great in the first half. I was texting with the fellows saying, I don't know. I'm seeing the way Baylor's playing. But second half, Texas showed up and blew a double-digit lead for the third time in a row. After watching all that and seeing TCU and looking at what TCU's results are, I just think Baylor's a much better team. They're playing at TCU, but just like the Texas only had to go 87 miles last week, Baylor only has to go about 110 up to Fort Worth. Aranda really has this team playing well, and I don't know if they ended up with 0 penalties last week, but the week before that they had 0 penalties, and they mentioned it during the game. I think it was in the third quarter they had 0 penalties. So they went like a game and a half at least without no penalties. Now, the quarterback only had 1 interception going into last week, and he threw 2. So that's something to be concerned about. But I got this at Baylor -5. 108, and I don't know what the over-under is on my Sluggo Bucks, but I hope you guys went high this week. I'm going to go 400 Sluggo Bucks on that bet. Wow. Crazy amount to bet on a Baylor, Texas Christian.
Was that 400?
400.
That's a lot.
400. I hope you got the over. Whoever's.
Hey, it's Vegas. It's Vegas. It has nothing to do with us.
I mean, if I picked it, it's wrong.
Well, there is that. Well, actually, you got about a 500 chance for 15-13. Beef, you're up next.
Yeah, sure. I'll go with probably one of the best out-of-conference games you'll see this weekend. That's right. You'll see out of the ACC, Wake Forest Demon Deacons, currently ranked, I don't know, so close, 10, 8. One of those in the although Oklahoma's 8. One of those. They're ranked. They're undefeated, 8-0. They go out of conference and play out of the ACC, North Carolina. Wait a second. ACC versus ACC. Anyway, they were playing an out-of-conference game this year, trying to hope to help each other out, keep the money in the state, yada, yada. The battle is Sam Hartman, Sam Howell, one of which is a Heisman Trophy contender. The other was one. So I don't know what – this one smells to me big time because it's Wake Forest getting 2.5 points. This stinks to me, and I know I'm wrong, but I had to take Wake Forest here. Sam Hartman, 22 touchdowns, 3 interceptions. Sam Howell, 19 touchdowns, 7 interceptions. I'm riding the anti-North Carolina train this week, and I'm taking Wake plus the 2.5 points, minus 112 juice. Even Mrs. Beef back here thinks the same thing. And I'm going to go, I'll match Marty, 400 Sluggo bucks there.
400 what happened there? 400 Sluggo bucks for the Beef. Locks, your second pick.
Well, I can, since we each have 3, if you'd like me to justify my MAC pick, I'd like to just mention that the Ohio University, whatever their mascot is, they only had 1 win going into that game last night, and they looked like world beaters. I don't know if anybody watched that game because the World Series was on. My God, I knew I was done for after the first quarter, and I was very angry. And I blame it all on Marty because he made me pick it while I was driving home from work. So
I made you pick it on your way home from work.
So,
okay.
Yeah, I'm down 400, but we got things working. Don't worry. I'll be back.
That is Herb Street behind Beef over there. He's read that book, I think, 6 times, Beef.
I just got halfway through. I don't know if you can't see it. That's all. That's where I am.
You can tell me about it, okay?
Nice product placement there, Beef.
It was accidental. It's a bookshelf.
Well, no, I meant the bookmark. You just opened it up and threw it in there, so it looked like you read it. All right, everybody's had a pick. Zach, unfortunately, has a big L by his. They already got an X mark on the Twitter for it. Okay, my next pick, I'm going to go North Carolina State -3, and that is not the Bucks on the. I hope you didn't factor that in. That was from last week. North Carolina State's playing Florida State. Now, this is in Tallahassee, and I wasn't sure about this game. I think Florida State gave everything they had last week, and it was darn ugly. If Clemson was the old Clemson, it would have been a 30-point win for the Tigers at least. Florida State doesn't have anything left to play for, and NC State does. Again, here we go. I just think NC State's the better team. I started to shy away from this. This is minus 120 on the juice. I don't know what Mrs. Beef thinks about that, but I'm a little worried about giving that much juice. But, fellas, I feel better about this because as I got home today on the podcast, I heard Chris the Bear Felica took Florida State. So that genius is on the other side, and it makes me feel a lot better. NC State -3, 400 Sluggo bucks. Are you getting a theme here? 400. Beef, pick number 2.
Oh, I got to write this down first because this math thing is hard. Got to pull up the calculator, see if I won. All right, my next pick, I'm riding, once again, this is a theme here. I'm riding the trains of what's the Dancing with the Girl I brought. I'm going Alabama. I'm just riding them the rest of the year. Big number here. Not a fan of the number, but got to put your money where your mouth is. -28 versus LSU this week. I believe it's at LSU as well. Big number. I just think they're going to go down there. LSU, according to Ogeron, is getting healed up, but they just lost one of their cornerbacks today, I believe, to injury. Max Johnson's just not there yet. I like him at quarterback for LSU, but I just think LSU's going to, or Alabama, they got something for him after, 2 years ago? 27. The last time LSU was dominant. And the way that they reacted afterwards, I think Nicky he's not going to call the dogs off. I think Alabama wins huge here, and I'll stay. No, you know what? 1,000 Sluggo bucks. Let's do it.
I twist his arm.
Man, big money. Beef is at it again. It's worked out for you. You were 1-2 last week, Beef, but
that's what I got to do. That's my strategy.
You were positive because you a whole 170 Sluggo bucks because you bet, I think, 1,000 on Alabama last week. Heard a crazy stat today I think it was on that same Genius Bear and Stanford Steve podcast. Alabama's favored by more over LSU than they were over Kent State. Is that right?
SEC. SEC.
1,000 Sluggo bucks for beef. Okay, Locks, here's your chance to make up your second. Your second pick of the night.
Get back in the mix here. I think the two teams that I have probably picked the most this season have been Coastal Carolina, who I'm off on, I'm out, and Wisconsin. Wisconsin, I have not won with them yet, so therefore I'm going to pick with them again. I have the over-under at 37.5, and I am going over because last week I had them versus Iowa at 36.5, and I had the over and the under hit. So it has to happen. It's like roulette, right? If you just keep on picking, it's going to have to happen eventually. I don't really have a really good reason for that. It's just suspiciously low. Like last week, I was befuddled that it didn't hit. Both teams.
Who are they playing this week?
They're playing Rutgers, so they're a dominant force in the offensive realm. So they both average over 21 points a game. It's going to be tight. I know that, but come on, baby, help me out here. The kid's 0 for 4 in the past 4. So put me down for $400 on that one. It's going to be huge. Come back.
I can feel the text now from Locks at about 12:30 on Saturday going, they can't score a dang touchdown. Except it won't say dang.
No, it won't.
Wisconsin and Rutgers over 37.5. How can they not do that? Minus 107 for 400 Sluggo bucks. It's got to be simple. I mean, they got to do it. I'm pulling for you, Locks. Kind of. Not really. All right, I have to edit that out. All right, here's my final pick. Houston minus 13, playing South Florida and Jeff Scott. Look, if you look at my picks, I don't like going this big. Like Casey likes the big bets on the big numbers. I don't like doing it. I want it to be under 7, preferably under 3. But it's Houston. But more than Houston, who can score. But more than that, it's University of South Florida and Jeff Scott's crew, who is just not very good. And they're doing a better job scoring than they did last year. But still, I can picture Houston scoring 40 and South Florida getting maybe 13 or 14 points, something like that, and maybe 20. They're doing a little bit better, just not the same. They can't keep up with Houston. The game's in South Florida. I don't think it matters. Down in Casey's all haunts down there in Tampa, right? Is that where's that?
Yep.
Anyway, Houston minus 13. I am going to go 400 Sluggo bucks. Shocker. Over or under? I'm assuming the over hit.
The over did hit. I mean, the over under was not even above 1,000. It creeped up this week because your constant 850s or 800s. It was at 925 from Vegas, but it over hits.
Well, the good news is for you guys is this: the more I bet, the more I'm going to lose, right? So.
Well, that may be why we're doing this over-under thing.
Goading you into it.
It could have something to do with it.
It's passive-aggressive at its finest right here.
Yeah.
We're the passive-aggressive brothers.
Well, my strategy is just to play the low numbers and watch you guys go negative. Hope I can go 2-1 and watch you guys go negative. But
we're not done yet, Marty.
Yeah, I know. And I know I'm going to have one of those 0-3 weeks that you just hit, Lock. So, to believe me, I'm not over here thinking I'm Jimmy the Greek or whatever the thing is. Beef, your third and final pick.
Third and final pick is the Friday night in the ACC heavy. Another team that I usually pick a lot of and I'm very high on. And Locks called me out earlier in the season about BC, always being high on BC. Well, guess what? The script has flipped. I am not on BC after watching them play the last 2 weeks. I don't know what the heck's going on. Zay Flowers is still healthy. Grossel's not a terrible quarterback. That line, both defensive and offensive lines are not bad. I just don't understand it, but they're playing really poor football right now. Virginia Tech's a 3.5-point favorite. This is a Friday night in Chestnut Hill. It's probably the red bandana game. BC usually comes out and plays really well. It's a great atmosphere up there. I swear it is. I know Clemson people laugh at me. It really is on a Friday night during the red bandana. It's awesome. Every fan gets it. I just think Virginia Tech is going to beat them by more than 3.5 points. So I'm going to go What do I have? 1,400. Let me go 350 on Virginia Tech.
350 on Virginia Tech for the un-American Casey the Beef Cregan going against Boston College in the red bandana game. I heard they had really good numbers in the red bandana game, Casey. Of course, I know they played Clemson a couple of times. I don't know who else they played.
Yeah, that's why I was there. That's why I've been there for 2 of them, because it was Clemson.
Beef is putting $1,750 on the line this week. All right, the third and final pick. Locks, you're up.
Yeah, bringing up the rear as usual. Marty picked Baylor, like right out the gate. Yeah. I, as we said earlier, couldn't make a decision if I had to. Then the news came in about Patterson at TCU getting fired, quitting, whatever. Light bulb went off. Said, hey, that seems like a good thing to do. So I locked in Baylor at 6.5 favorites. So I looked at the numbers too after I locked it in, because that's how I do things. TCU averages scoring 31.5 points a game. They also average giving up 31.5 points a game. Baylor scores 37.5 points a game, but they only give up 19.4. And for that reason, I'm going to bet 2,500 on this game for the Baylor Bears to cover.
The biggest,
get right back into the mix.
The biggest bet in Sluggo history. Lots. It's been great playing this with you, and
I'll still have plenty left for next week. Don't worry, I actually did do the math.
Whoa! What's you're reading the outline? You're doing math.
There's only 3 weeks left.
There's one thing you aren't doing though. You aren't looking at the stats before you lock it in.
That's the biggest bet in Sluggo podcast history, ladies and gentlemen.
Yep.
Wow.
Boom town.
How crazy is that? Okay, let's see if we can get these right. And
you're going to have a column on the spreadsheet.
Get them right. You're right. Get them right on their graphics. Marty, Baylor, -5, -108, 400. NC State, -3, -120 for 400. And Houston, -13. That's not Houston Burnett. That's the Houston Cougars. Houston, -13, -110 for 400. Sluggo Bucks. I got 3 favorites there. That's kind of scary. Beef, Wake Forest, getting 2.5 against North Carolina in a non-conference game, -112 for 400 Sluggo Bucks. Alabama, -28, -110 for 1,000 Sluggo Bucks. Virginia Tech, -3.5, -109 for 350 Sluggo Bucks in the Un-American Beef Bowl. Locks is already 0-1. He lost to Miami -7, -105, 400 bucks. Baylor -6.5, -108, 2,500 Sluggo Bucks. And Wisconsin Rutgers over 37.5 for 400 Sluggo Bucks. That Baylor game, if I remember correctly, is in the afternoon. Or
3:30.
Is it 3:30?
Yes, sir.
Casey, expect your text line to be fired up about 3:45. Every time TCU scores, it should be interesting over there. On
3:30 on Fox. It's going to have the A team there too.
All right. Before we get to the wrap up, fellas, just want to remind everybody we are collecting for the vets again in Kyle, Texas. We did this last year. They really appreciated it. The guys did a lot for us in this country, so let's give them a good Christmas dinner. Every dollar you donate, let me see if I can get this right this time. Right upside. Every dollar you donate, you get an entry. $5 equals five entries to get the most expensive cardboard coasters you'll ever get. Only 4 people in the world have these. You're looking at 3 of the beautiful faces right here. And Aunt Alyssa has a set. That's it. You could be the 5th person. Donate. You can do it by Venmo right there or PayPal. We'd appreciate it. And the veterans will appreciate it more than us. Give them a good Christmas dinner. Beef, will you be chopping beef tomorrow night?
We think so. Maybe. I might have an obligation, but we'll see.
I like it.
On brand.
Yeah, it's on brand. Wife's got a doctor thing, so
we'll figure it out.
We'll see how if she reacts. Okay, but we'll be chopping the beef, and she might be on it because it might be funny.
And the good thing is if you follow the Chop and Beef, you will get notified, right?
That's
When
correct.
you set up the show, he will notify you, get your little notification, ding, ding, ding. Chop and Beef has set up a show, and there's the logo for the Chop and Beef, where you can follow that. Locks, we didn't even mention this, but congratulations to the Atlanta Braves. They crushed the Astros. Every home run they hit seemed like 628,412 feet.
Yeah.
They deserve it. Fair and square. Out hit the Astros. I think it was like 12 home runs to 2 or something. Crushed the Astros, world champion Atlanta Braves.
Yeah, it was a good series to watch. I know it wasn't the way you wanted to see it end, Marty, but it was a fun one. It's going to be interesting to see in the offseason what happens to both of those teams, I think.
Yeah, the Astros have like 7 free agents, and who knows? Who knows what's
Correa is a big one on that side, and Freddie Freeman from the Braves.
Yeah.
I'm a big Yankee fan. We might need a first baseman and a shortstop.
Verlander too. I don't know if he's what he was, but still, he's a big name, and that hurt him. But the Braves played really well, and they did everything right. And I try to explain it to Parker that, the Dodgers had 107 wins or 106, and the Giants had 107. It's who gets hot in that postseason, and it was the Braves, and they deserved it. It didn't end the way I wanted to end, or Parker, but I'll tell you this: as a dad, at the end of the game, the kid surprised me. I mean, I sent you guys the
rant.
The rant, that was just one of 50, right? That was like 10 seconds of 50 rants. But when the game is over, he said, "It's a great season, Dad. Didn't end the way we wanted. But the worst part of this is, the saddest part is, we have to wait till April to see the Astros again." And I knew the boy was on the right. He's on the right track.
That's cool.
For some reason. Yeah.
Wise beyond his years right there. He gets it now.
Not sure where he gets it from, but he gets it now. But in the heat of the moment, as you know, he gets a little heated. So, Beef, thank the people. Let's get out of here.
Sure. Thanks to everyone on the Seldom Used Reserve College Football Discussion Facebook group, especially Nelson Wilhite for all his help. John Chansey for his work on seldomusedreserve.com. Check out seldomusedreserve.com. We have a few things going up there. Definitely check it out. Everyone on the Seldom Used Reserve Sluggo podcast, each and every one of you who listens, likes, and shares and participates, including Uncle John McGee. On behalf of Marty Seldom Used Reserve Coleman, Zach Locks Parker, I am Casey the Beef Cregan. Thanks so much for joining us. We'll see you next week right here on Sluggo.
I'm so looking forward to that Baylor TCU.
Go
game.
Baylor Bears, baby.
gotta rely on the Baptist, just like your mama told you when you were a kid.
Backdoor cover.
I think we're done here.